To begin our sticker design, we are going to open up our drawing in Google Chrome Canvas. And we are going to add a layer to draw on. So we are basically going to use the pen tool to trace over our pencil lines. And I just used my finger, I didn't use a stylus. And do your best to trace as close to your original design as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect, and you can always use the eraser tool to go back and correct your mistakes. Once you have all of your lines traced, you're going to hide that layer, and you are going to start adding layers of color. For every color that you add, you are going to add a new layer. Remember that you can customize your colors when you choose them from the palette. And I would suggest using the marker tool for this. Also remember that you can change your brush size. So smaller areas, smaller brushes, larger areas, larger brushes. And notice that it is okay if we go over top of our pencil lines, because that is a different layer that we are eventually going to move to bring it to the top layer. So I'm adding a new layer for a new color on the inside of the bread. Again, do your best to stick close to the edges, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And just another reminder that small areas you can use a small brush, and large areas you can use a large brush. It really helps to change those brush sizes, and it also helps to zoom in. Remember that you can always edit undo or Control Z if you make a mistake. So after this layer of color is done, again, I would add a third and fourth layer. You can also use the chalk tool to add some shading. So when I'm using the chalk tool, the opacity is low, so it looks like I'm adding some value and shading. You don't have to do this step, but it does kind of help your things look a little bit more realistic. Remember, edit undo or Control Z if you don't like what you're doing. And I know it looks a little bit messy right now, but it's because we don't have our drawing on top. So once you're done with your color layers, you're going to want to make sure that your drawing is the top layer, and then go back in and do some editing. So the things that I had out of my control, and notice that you have a recent colors that you can pull from, so I can easily find that color that I used for the bread, and I can go in and fix those mistakes. I'm going in and using it almost to kind of erase or to cover up those mistakes. And that's just a really helpful way to go back in and fix anything that you might have accidentally went over the lines with. And you're going to want to do this for each of your 3 drawings. Always do a new layer for each color. It will really help you in the end, because then you can rearrange the layers. So when we go over to the guacamole, you're going to see that I can move those layers. So I put the chips behind the guacamole. I put the bowl in front of the guacamole, and I made sure that my layers were on top before again going in and touching up those accents. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the blue from the color palette, the recent colors, so that I know it's the same exact color, and I'm just going to fix those mistakes. When you are all done, you're going to hit the little 3 dots to save as image, and that is the file you're going to turn in.